What do you put in your backpack for a long distance hike? What do you need? What can you do without? What are the must-haves and what are my must-haves? I'm going to share with you today what I'm packing for the Via Francigena, a walk in Italy I'm about to do with the family, 750 kilometres from Pavia to Rome. There's almost an unwritten rule on Caminos and such that you should take about 10% of what your body weight is. But I think that's just a guide and you shouldn't be too religiously stuck with that. For example, an 80 kilogram guy shouldn't be stuck with 8 kilograms and a 150 kilogram guy shouldn't be stuck with 15 kilograms. You should carry what you can, what you're comfortable with and what your body can accept. I tell you, on a multi-day hike where you're walking every single day 20 or 30 kilometers, your first week is going to be somewhat painful. You've got to accept that. If you haven't trained at all, it's going to be very painful. You're going to have sore back, shoulders, knees, hips. You need to push through that. But even if you've trained and you're a fit person, you're going to get some pain on that first week, because the only way you can train for a multi-day hike where you're walking 20 or 30 kilometers every day is to walk 20 or 30 kilometers every day with that backpack on. And most of us just don't have the time or the inclination to do that. So the first week is always going to be a learning curve for your body. Accept that, be prepared for it, take some anti-inflammatories with you and push through. Having said that though, there are some recommendations that I would make for what you should pack, what you should take, what you can leave behind, but also what you must take. So I'm going to share with you today some of my packing for my trip that's coming up. So the first decision to make is what backpack I should take. Here I've got an Osprey 70 litre, a Kathmandu 50 litre and a Kathmandu 28 litre. The Osprey was great on my Bibbulmun trail where I had to carry a tent and food for up to 10 days at a time. This pack could be weighing, upwards of 25 kilos, but that's way too heavy for a Camino. So I'm going to take that one out straight away. On a Camino, you have accommodation and you buy food along the way. So you don't need nearly as big a pack. A 50 litre is more than enough. And for Jo, this 28 litre will be more than enough for her. It's just a fact of life that men's clothes, at least my clothes, are bigger than Jo's clothes. Even my undies here, they occupy a lot bigger space and weight than Jo's briefs. So it's inevitable that packing for a bloke is going to be a little bit different from packing for a girl. That being said, there's some common things that you need to think about. The first thing to think about is what the temperature is going to be where you're going to be walking. Is it going to be winter? Is it going to be summer? Is it going to be cold? Is it going to be hot? That will impact what you take. Where I'm going, in Italy, it's going to be spring. It's mid-spring, so there could be some cool mornings and evenings, or some hot days. So I have to be prepared for that. So I need to think about layering. Having base layers and warm layers and wet layers that will help me out in any situation really. So here we go, let's dive in. I like 3 pairs of things. It means I don't have to wash so often. So 3 pairs of undies, 3 pairs of socks. Good socks. These are good hiking socks. That's really important. Your feet are your engine of this walk, and if they fail or get injured, you're going to have a hard time continuing. So spend some money on your boots and on your socks. For this walk, I'm not taking boots, I'm taking shoes, as you can see, and I've put in a special liner. These liners are really invaluable. The ones that come with the actual shoes are always thin, and it's worth spending an extra few dollars, maybe even up to $50, and buying a liner that's going to make your walk more comfortable. You need something to wear after you take your shoes off, because after walking 30 kilometers, trust me, you won't want to stay in the walking shoes. Something that's easy to slip on and Also something that you can shower in, so it fits two purposes. I'm taking this Nike wicking t-shirt and a Columbia long sleeve t-shirt. So I've got the short sleeve and the long sleeve. The long sleeve's really good on hot summery days where you don't have to put sun cream on all the time. I also like to take a collared shirt and something that's also wicking, and it's a walking shirt, but allows me to go into, churches or for a restaurant at night to look a bit better. My walking pants, they're trekking pants, and they're wicking, and they're also dry very quickly, and that's important. Also, I take a spare pair of pants. These pants are cut off, and they become cut off legs, and they become shorts, which is really handy on a hot day. I've also got an extra t-shirt to wear on the plane and a pair of liner socks, which is really important. One belt to use for the two pants, and a fleece, which is really important, I think. So when you've got your long sleeve t-shirt and a fleece, you're starting to get a bit warmer on those cold mornings. The next thing is your shell or your raincoat. This is really important. It needs to be wicking. I know I use that term a lot, but you can see this fabric here. It allows the sweat to go through the fabric, and often on walks I'll find it glistening with sweat on the outside here, and I'm relatively dry on the inside. So that's really important to get a good shell. Then the other wet weather products that you take depend on yourself. I like to have something for my leather hat. That looks a bit daggy, but it keeps my hat dry. You definitely need a backpack cover to keep your backpack dry. That's important. I like an umbrella because on really wet days I can put that up and stop the water dripping down my back, or even if it's a very light shower only for a moment, I can whip that out quickly and don't have to put the other gear on. I'm not sure about the poncho. I don't know if I'm going to take it or not. That's still in the thinking about basket. But one thing I am going to take is this. I haven't seen them before, and I hope they're going to work. It's a kilt, rather than taking wet weather pants. I've had wet weather pants before, and they're a pain to put on. So this is the kilt. I haven't worn one before, but normally with the wet pants, you've got to put your wet boots through them, and they've got zippers and stuff, but I just find it really hard, and they get hot and sweaty underneath. Whereas this is just simply a Velcro around. There is a belt as well. And I know it looks daggy, but when you're walking in the rain, you don't really care. What you care about is staying dry. And this is easy to get on, and then easy to get off when the rain stops. And that's what you want. Ease on your walk. So that's it for the weather gear. I keep that in a very accessible part, right up the top of my pack. You never know when you're going to need that, so you need to be able to access it quickly. Now I'll move on to some of the walking gear that I like to take. I like poles. They've saved me a lot of time. There's a lot of conjecture online about poles and whether you should take them or not, and if they're only for old people or not. I've been trekking for a while, and they've saved me from falling down a number of times. Mitigated falls where I've still gone over but been able to not go down heavily, and also just made it easier going up hills and down hills. Just the 3 points on the ground at any one time keeps your balance better. I suppose for a guy with vertigo that's important, but I like them, and I buy the lightweight ones, and they're really handy. I love my hat. Take that everywhere. You recognise that maybe from my other YouTube clips. And also this. These buffs are great. They just keep the sweat away from your hat, out of your eyes. You can put it around your neck if you're cold. You can put water on it if you're hot. They're good. I wear those nearly every day. I love these. These are my gaiters. They just slip on easily over your shoe, and they stop the water going into your shoe and wetting your socks. I also wear them on dry days because they stop sand and dirt and grit and pebbles getting in your boots as well. I wear gloves. They might seem silly to use on a walk, but when you're walking with poles for 8 hours or more a day, you get blisters on your hands, and they'll start to be impact on your enjoyment of the trip. That makes it a lot less likely. Finally, a few little luxury items. I love these things, especially on a hot walk. These things you wet and then you flick out really hard. And it's amazing how cool that is. It's a cooling cloth. And you put that around your neck on a hot day, and that can be just enough comfort to keep you going. Another thing that I really love is this scarf. It goes around my neck, keeps me safe from the sun on hot days. Also can be used as a sort of a protection over albergue pillows and things like that at night, because I know that's clean. This is my little face washer that I just clip to my pack, that when you go to the toilet or something along the way, you just got something to wipe your hands. It dries quickly, it doesn't take up much room. You can see it's not even a third of the size of my hand. Now for nighttime things, some very important things: face mask and earplugs. I take them on the plane with me anyway, but you're going to need both of those if you're staying in communal areas. The snoring can be epic. So this is my nighttime bag. I group everything together so when I get to a place, I can just take this bag out of my backpack, and it's got all the things I'll need for the evening. It's got my towel so I can have a shower. I'm taking a shaver on this one. I'm thinking about that. It's a battery operated one. It's quite good. It's fairly cheap. It's a little bit heavy, but I'm not going to grow a beard on this one. I'm also taking a torch. It's a lightweight, very strong torch. It's just if you're in albergues and lights go out or you can't see, it's important to have some means, and my light on my phone is not always the best. For this trek, I'm thinking about long johns. It's going to be cold at night, I think. I'm not absolutely sure I'm going to pack those. They are a bit of a luxury item. But what I thought, if I take the long johns and a sleeping liner, that's enough for me. Joe is also taking a sleeping liner, and I'm going to put in one sleeping bag, a light sleeping bag. It's only, 720 grams. Now, if it's a very cold night, Joe gets the sleeping bag and I get 2 liners. If it's not a cold night, we have a liner each, and that doesn't get unpacked. Bit of a luxury. I'm coming back from a trip where I was carrying 25 kilos, so an extra little bit hopefully is not going to hurt me too much. Sleep is very important. You need to be comfortable at night. So I take a very soft, light t-shirt that I can wear and some comfy cotton undies. They're a luxury, I know, but I'm not walking in them. They won't get sweaty and dirty. I'm only sleeping in them, but they're comfortable. This is the first time I'm using this. It's a silk pillow slip. It's very, very light, very nice, and you can put it over any pillow you come across and know that your head's going against something that's relatively clean. Lastly, I take a pair of swimmers. You never know when you can get a swim. And also, these are really nice just to wear in the afternoon, especially if you're doing laundry. Everything else can get thrown in. I wear my t-shirt and my shorts and end up with a whole nice clean bag of stuff. This is a luxury item that I'm thinking of taking. It's the pillow that I took on Bibliman Trail with me. It was very comfortable, very light, blows up. I suppose it's superfluous if I'm taking the silk liner. Maybe I'll throw one of them out. But these are decisions you've got to make along the way for yourself. What's more important to you? A little bit of extra weight or a little bit of extra comfort? You'll have hundreds of these. Don't take things just in case, but, enjoy the walk, and you need to enjoy your sleep. So take things that are going to help in that. Toiletries can be kept to a bit of a minimum. Here are some of the things that I take. First of all, Camino lollies, Nurofen, anti-inflammatories. You're going to be needing those. And I've got a roll-on arthro balm. It's really nice after a long walk to put something on your feet and give yourself a massage. That's worth the weight of carrying, just to have some relief from sore muscles. Deodorant, don't need to say too much about that. Toothpaste and toothbrush, a couple of little ones, try to avoid the big ones. I've got a little comb, I think that's a luxury. I like washing with soap, so I take a bar of soap and some sort of little light plastic container just to stop it from sticking to the bag. It's a luxury, but I like using a soap. Floss, of course. I was a dentist for 35 years, people. Floss your teeth, please. There's no excuse, really. Lip balm. These are really good, are Chucks. Now, after you have a shower, you can use this Chucks to get yourself about 80% dry and wring it out. It dries in about an hour and you haven't used your towel as much as you would have. And it's still relatively dry. It'll still be wet, but it'll dry much more quickly if you dried your whole body with it. Other little luxuries are like Vaseline that'll help with the blisters or prevention of blisters, and some hydrocortisone cream in case you get any burns. To this I'd add sun cream, but I put that in my pack. I don't put it with my toiletries because I'll need that during the day. This is my little emergency kit of sorts. Compeed for blisters. I've got some Elastipast. I've got some tape to do up toes. I've learnt the hard way. Have the stuff and prevent things really quickly. I take some antibiotics in case I get a cold, but always goes down to my chest. So I take something when I'm going overseas because it's a bit hard to get the antibiotics. You've got to get a doctor's appointment and so on. I take an emergency blanket in case, God forbid, something happens and somebody breaks a leg and we need to wrap somebody up and keep them warm. And I also take a garbage bag. The garbage bag is just if it's really wet, I can take my whole backpack gear out and put it in the plastic bag and keep everything dry. Now just some other extras. I've got my credential here. I've got my international driver's license, which I'll take. I've got some headphones. I've got the appropriate cords for my devices and charging things. So for my DJI camera that I'm using at the moment, and for my iPhone, and an appropriate plug to use. I take some carabiners because they're handy to attach things to the back of your pack. And I take a pocket knife just in case I want to cut some bread or open a bottle of wine. You never seem to be able to find one when you need one. Lastly, my water bottles. I like having enough water. This can be a big weight consideration. There's a couple of litres of water there, and that adds a couple of kilos, but depends where you're walking and how often you're going to be able to refill those things. So you need to take enough that you can make it through your walk on the day. So sunglasses, phone. This is another little thing that I take, and I learnt about this on my last trek. It may sound really weird, but it's a lot thinner, a lot lighter than liner socks. And it's just these little stockings that my wife got for me. They're little foot stockings. And you wear those under your socks so that the sock and the stocking rub together rather than the sock on your foot. It reduces the chance of blisters by a lot. And I'm not so precious that I can't wear a stocking if it's going to save me blisters. If you've had blisters, you'd know. I also take an extra little bag. There's one of these really light bags. So as my clothes come out of their bag and become dirty, I get a dirty washing bag that's not contaminating my whole bag. Often they're wet and smelly, And you've just got a laundry bag that you've got all your stuff in that you can take to the laundry when you need to, and it makes it easier and cleaner in your bag. A couple of other little things that I take is just this little box that secures little things that I can keep safe, like little attachment for my DJI, extra micro cards, the little pin to pop out the SIM card in my phone, and also this, which is the tracking thing. If you lose your bag, you can track that. Another thing that's handy is one of these travel clotheslines. You never know when there's going to be a clothesline at a place, and sometimes you can just string it up in a room and do a wash and dry, have it dry by morning. It's a luxury for the people that are going to cut their toothbrushes in half to save that, milligrams of stuff. They probably wouldn't take this, but I think, it's worth it. Finally, an anti-scam wallet that I take, just for my travel card and some cash. And I'll also take a money belt that's being delivered today from Amazon. I used to take this type of one, but I'm getting a neoprene waterproof one that I can put stuff in that's going to be a bit better than this. So that's it, an idea of the stuff that I'm going to take that's going to get me through a month or more of walking. It's more than some. Some people would say, oh no, you shouldn't take that, you should take that. But take what you want to your abilities. I think I can carry that, so take it. If you don't think you can carry that much, take less. But enjoy yourself. You're doing this for fun, for enjoyment. And you want to have some luxuries along the way. So there's my stuff bagged up, ready to go in the backpack. So there's my backpack. That, the poles, and my carry-on bag all weigh 9 kilos. So, I'm not 90 kilos, thankfully. I'm trying to lose some weight. I've managed to lose 5, but that's, round about 10% of my weight. That's not a bad weight, I think, for me. 9 kilos is pretty good. Now, I'm going to add 2 kilos on, obviously, when the water is in the bottles, and snacks and etc. adds a little bit. But that gives you an idea of what I'm taking to live on for a month. So there you go, my packing. A lot of people would argue and say, don't take this, do take that. That's what I take. You do you. That's what's important about this. Listen to people on the internet, but don't take everything as gospel. Work it out for yourself. Have fun. Do the trek.